Anthony and Victoria bring you this AMI This Week shortcut.
Ottawa's historic Lord Elgin Hotel recently hosted a symposium bringing together people for the very first time to discuss and share information about an incredibly rare eye disease.
Ottawa presenter Shelby Travers brings us this inspirational story about a woman who is also in attendance.
Hi, Mama.
Well, hi, guys. Come on in.
As a doting grandmother, Ida Davis loves being with her grandchildren. But when she began to lose her sight about 6 years ago at age 67, she thought it was because she was getting older. What she was diagnosed with, however, came as a complete surprise.
My diagnosis is called LHON, which is Leber's Hereditary Optic-Neuropathy.
LHON, or simply Leber's, is a disease that affects about 1 in 50,000 people worldwide. Simply put, the main culprit is the cable that connects the eye to the brain. For Ida, the diagnosis was devastating.
I was definitely in denial that, no, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and this was all a bad dream.
As a hereditary disease, it was even more of a shock because Ida was adopted.
Perhaps other people who have or were diagnosed with LHON, they knew that they were carriers, that family members had LHON, and I didn't have any of that because I was adopted and because I don't have any biological family history.
Ida's life was about to be turned upside down.
Not being able to see the faces of my own family members, my husband, my children, my grandchildren, it really hurts.
That hurt, however, wouldn't last long. Ida found a friend who shares something in common.
I met a woman who, she is a bit younger than I am, but she also was diagnosed at the age of 64. And although she doesn't live here in Ottawa, we connect on the telephone, we email each other, and it's nice to have that rapport.
Talking with someone who shares the disease in common was important to Ida.
But I really want to touch on some of the accomplishments since a number of us got together in Alexandria, Virginia.
It was also important to Mark Demontis, president of the newly formed patient support group, LHON Canada.
After personally being affected when I was 17 by LHON, I knew that over the course of the next many years of my life, leading up to 31 now, that one of the things that there wasn't was a community for LHON in the country. And so that, motivated a number of families, including myself, to come together and start LHON Canada.
That's why it was important to organize this first ever symposium.
We knew that this rare condition needed support. It not only needs a lot of advocacy work in terms of the clinical trials that need to happen, but it needs a lot more from a community perspective.
The gathering was a great way to kickstart the organization.
When most people who are affected by sight loss, it can be a very tough time. I mean, it can be overwhelming, it can be emotional, it can be draining, not sure where to go and who to speak to, understanding who the experts are, who to trust as well in terms of the research and the resources that are available.
Resources that included a panel of expert doctors.
Hello, Christine. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Dr. Rustam Karangia, a leading neuro-ophthalmologist from Ottawa, was part of the panel. He says while patient-doctor one-on-one time is obviously important, group settings can be just as important, if not more.
Well, symposiums like this help connect physicians and patients together. Having that ability to do it as a group and being able to see that, oh, you have this problem, but somebody else in the room also has the same problem. And connecting them that way, I think, is so important for a lot of diseases and makes such a difference for the patients. Because patients and family members of patients have so much more to teach us as physicians than we're able to teach them.
Teaching others and sharing personal success stories was part of the reason Ida was asked to be a part of the symposium's patient panel.
I just gave away my age, and I'm the only person in this room that is all over the LHON. Helen Keller had said, alone we can do a little, together we can do much. And I'm hoping that all the research being done and that together everyone creating the awareness, fundraising, etc., that we can support the research and that very soon we'll have a cure for LHON so that future generations don't have to deal with this.
What a great story. Ida sounds like a lovely woman, and I'm so glad she was open to sharing her story.
Me too. To be honest, I hadn't heard of Leber hereditary optic neuropathy, or LHON, before.
Well, I'm sure you're not the only one. It is a rare disease, but it sounds like this, the first ever LHON Symposium, was a great success.
Building a community is what this group is all about. And Mark, Ida, and Dr. Ihoncanada.ca say group support is key to moving forward in life.
For more information, check out LHON Canada.ca.